Hi everybody, I'm Joseph Bradley from Amin-Ross, and my website is www.aminrossawakening.com. I'm going to talk again about the dark energies that I experienced over the years. It's going to be a series of videos that this is the second part, with a discussion of what I experienced and how I dealt with it. I went through a couple of scenarios with a couple of different situations last time, didn't go in much more detail. One of the things that you have to be very aware of is that when you go into that state, you're in a different type of dimension. Some people call it the astral plane. I see so many different dimensions that I like to call it one that is the same as this world but slightly different. There is light and dark energies in that space, but it's like a space where spirits go to before they communicate with us. It's a place where they communicate with us. But there's also a longing for these dark energies to want to become through more into this world. And that's why it's very important when you open doorways, that you open doorways to specifically places where you want to go, because when you open the doorway to these places, they seem to have more ability to come in and manipulate people, manipulate the world itself. I'm not trying to make people afraid. I'm trying to get people to understand that it's not something to play with. Because for years, when I had these things come into me, I experimented with them. I played with them. At times I got frustrated with them many times. But ultimately, your best is not to associate with them at all. But maybe you do. Maybe there's a learning that you have to go through. Maybe there's something you need to learn from them. I tried whatever I could back in the time. I could get rid of them with just a couple of words of belief. I could say, God, please send them away. I could say, Jesus, please send them away. I could say it myself, that I do not, basically, I don't want you around me. I want you to go away, da 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 da. There's all kinds of different ways you can say it. You can shine the light of heaven down upon them. There's so many different things you can do. I think the best thing for me is to just do one step at a time. It's hard to jump into so many things I've experienced to try to get people to understand. Some of the experiences, what I do know is that you wake up in a dream state, or you're dreaming in a state, or you go to a place in a dream. The dream state is the easiest place to go. I've experienced when I was awake as well, but in a dream state it's more common. Sometimes people forget these experiences, and when you speak about them, they start to remember them. One of the things that is very interesting is that when you are awake in this dream state, when you're dreaming about your house. You're in the same room that you're in. The bed's in where it's supposed to be. The person is actually sleeping beside you, that was beside you. If there's nobody there, then you're by yourself. Everything is where it's supposed to be. You can get up, walk around your whole house, and everything is exactly where it is. Sometimes you come across spirits that are meant to be there. There's a situation where I was walking by a couch and a spirit was laying down on the couch. And I looked down and I said, and I knew right off the bat, oh, you're supposed to be here. But then these other dark energies can be there as well. So your mind, your spirit, I should say, knows who it knows. It knows what's supposed to be there and what doesn't. And this is something that is a good lesson to learn. This place is not just light and dark, it's everything. It's just like a real world. It's a dimension, but it still has everything. You can bring light. Everything is done by thought, however. If you want to move, you have to think you got to move. So a lot of the times the paralyzation is you coming and going from your body and not knowing what to do. And when you leave in order to leave your body, you have to think you can leave your body. So you have to think yourself out of your body, even though, or think yourself to move. Because when you're in that state, you are spirit. So if you want to move, you have to think you can move. So, however, when these spirit, darker energies are there, a lot of the times you can go and you go to sleep. 10 minutes later, you wake up and you experienced like hours. It felt like of visions and dreams, basically, around these specific things. And when you wake up, you feel like there's a massive weight lifted off you. And there's times where you will literally, you'll rise off your bed. There was a time I used to have waterbed when that was popular. I actually felt like literally I went up 2 feet. I was so far down in the bed that when it left, I actually rose. I felt myself rising up out of the bed. But there's different types. And this is where it gets hard because there's so many experiences, and where do you begin? I know I'm jumping all over the place, and that's one of the things that needs to get structured a bit, is that just listen to all the different things that I'm saying. If any of these ring true, you'll know if anybody's experienced these things, you'll know what I'm talking about. And this video the first few videos is just discussing different scenarios, different things that have happened, different types, different situations. I'll get more into more detail as I go along. So if you move, you force yourself out of your body, and a lot of times these things could be holding you down, and you can see them holding you down. So you force yourself up and you stand up, and they will generally get off you, but they will still could be in the room. You could see them moving around because they're shadows, right? They move like shadows. But there's one thing you can remember is you go to turn your light on, the light doesn't work. Why doesn't it work? Because there's no electricity attached to it. It's a dream. So in order for the light to work, you have to believe that the light will come. So you have to think the light into existence, so to speak. So you flick the light on and the light goes on, and all of a sudden you realize that the thing's hiding in the corner, but it's not a shadow, it's a person. It looks kind of like you. They sometimes look different. Some of the ones I experienced look blue, with blue veins. Some were lighter blue, some were not. Some were gray in color. Like there's different types of things that you see. Some of them will leave instantly. As soon as the light goes on, they're gone. They'll leave right away. They'll even leave before you get to turn the light on because they know what is happening and they're afraid of the light. But as soon as you turn the light on, the power goes away. There's no chaos anymore. It's like it's really interesting when you go out of that state into awakened state. It's like when you have a really annoying sound, like the fan that's on full blast on the oven range, and you shut it off. It's like, oh man, that feels so much better. It's kind of like that, and it's noisy. And it's funny because I was going through many years, and people ask me about what you heard, and I'm thinking, well, it's loud. It's a loud space. And at the time I didn't really think about it. You're always under stress. It's like you're always stressed because you're always being constantly bombarded with energy. So when you're able to overcome something like, for instance, if you fill the room with light, the energy will change and the sound will subside. And either you wake up or you don't. When you don't wake up is when it can get really interesting. It can get really fun, actually. Because then all of a sudden you see everything, and then you realize that if you can remember that you are sleeping, that this is a dream state, all of a sudden you can do anything you want. And you can go anywhere. The interesting part in this specific state is that everything is as it is. So you could go travel to different parts of the world and things will be as they're meant to be. Things will be as they are. some people might call it lucid dreaming, some people call it astral projection. It's a bit different in this state because you're pulled into this state from dark energies. And I'm focusing on just on dark energies from the beginning because light energies, angels, can pull you in this state too. But when they pull you into the state, there's no negativity in it. It's positive. And so you have to know the difference, and you will know the difference by the feeling. The feelings that you have, what you experience. So, we'll start from the beginning. You're lying on your bed, you go to sleep, you could be very tired, and a lot of times it seems to be the state. You're very tired, you go to sleep. You don't even remember falling asleep. You get pulled into some type of weird dream that something just doesn't feel right. Or you could wake up in a dream state, literally like woken up and you're surrounded by, or something could be sitting on you. We'll just stick with that one. We'll stick with a common one where it's either sitting on you, holding you down, or it's holding your legs and you can't move. You wake up and all of a sudden you're bombarded with the most creepiest feelings, and it's like a very chaos sounding. So you wake up, and then what do? You're paralyzed, you can't move, you're terrified in some cases you might not be. But a lot of people are, because they don't know what the hell is going on. You have this creature holding you. You got the creature on you, which is a little more chaotic, or you got one that's holding your legs, but you can't move. You have a partner or somebody beside you. It could be your son, it could be your lover, it could be a friend, it could be whoever is in the bed with you, or nobody at all. You're trying to speak, but you can't, because you can't get the words out. Then you can do many things here. You could pray. Well, what do you pray? You have to believe in what you're saying. This is a key here. Because if you don't believe in what you're saying, the things can get stronger. This is kind of one of those situations where they have no ability to hurt you unless you believe they can. And I'm telling you, if you're terrified of them and you don't believe in what you're saying, you don't have the faith in what you're saying, it can be quite scary because they can become quite horrific. Like, for instance, they could grow claws and stab you in the feet. Your worst nightmares can come true. That has never happened to me, but it has happened to people I know. The thing is, they have absolutely no power over you. So why are you allowing them to hurt you? They have no power at all over you unless you allow them and give them your power, and your fear takes over. If you show no fear, they can't hurt you at all. So you're lying on your bed, you can't move, you can't scream. So what's the first thing? You get afraid. I can't move. Fear starts to take over. Well, don't have any fear. Just believe you can move and you'll move. Believe you can speak and you'll speak. It might start off broken, but your speech will come back. You have to believe it can. And when you move, it could be very difficult to move at first, but you can move. But you have to think this stuff into a thing, because it's a dream. It is not real. It's not like a real life scenario, physical thing. But this is very much real. Why? You say, how do I know that so much? Well, I've been in situations where I had specific ones coming to me. And my partner at the time, I didn't say anything about these at all. And that other partner was experiencing this type of energies as well. And these things were very, very, very specific. Never said a word to that person. Well, that person started to see and talk about exactly the same things that were bothering me. Exactly the same way. Not exactly, but the creatures themselves were identical. And that's just one of many experiences. So how do you explain two people experiencing exactly the same things? It just doesn't happen. Just it really doesn't happen. People do not dream about the same specific things in the same night or throughout a week period. It's like, look at it this way. It's like you have Ronald McDonald, or not something, not even Ronald McDonald, something that is in common. Say, we'll just use Ronald McDonald anyway. You're dreaming about Ronald McDonald, and nobody knows who Ronald McDonald is. It's just a clown, a specific look to a clown, right? So it's a clown that has the same colors as Ronald McDonald, so we call him Ronald McDonald. You never told the person that you're dreaming about this Ronald McDonald, and then they start having the same dream about Ronald McDonald. Does that ever happen? Do you know of a situation where you're dreaming of a specific type of being that nobody really knows about, doesn't really describe it that way, and the other person you're with starts dreaming the same dream, but you don't tell them? Does that happen very often? Ask yourself that. And the other thing is how it feels, and how you could literally put your head on the pillow, wake up 10 minutes later, and 2 hours went by, and you felt you were in a massive dream state for that period of time. That's uncommon as well, but they can happen anytime. They can happen in the morning, in the middle of the night, or just before you go to bed. I always find they happen just before you go to bed or just before you wake up in the morning, but they do happen in the middle of the night as well. So I'm going to leave that video at that time frame at this point, and I'll create another video and to try to keep these a little bit shorter. So I'm Joseph Bradley, and I'm telling a story of my experience with dark energies, expanding into the light energies. Anyway, take care and have a great day. Again, you can visit my website at www.amonrosawakening.com. I am a shamanic healer. Well, I'm a journey healer and speaker and teacher. A lot of people call me shamanic. That's a whole nother topic. I like to call myself a journey healer instead of a shamanic healer, because I have a lot of respect for shamanic, like people that are shamans, but it's more like a dedication of a life. I have my own dedication of life, but it's a discipline. There's a lot of ceremonies involved. There's a lot of things like that that I would consider more of a shamanic healer. So saying that, it is what it is, and I have a lot of friends and a lot of respect for shamans. I do very much similar work than they do, but I do it my own way. I do it from my own teachings, my own spirituals. My own spirits taught me so many different things. So out of respect, I am just calling myself a journey healer, speaker, and teacher. Anyway, thank you very much and have a great day.